Hello, everybody. Dave Neal here, stand-up comic and host of Bachelor Nation News. I'm recording this from my stripped-down mobile setup here from Las Vegas, Nevada. I was here for a show, and I'm taking the lady out to the Bellagio. Hopefully she doesn't spend too much money. She's looking at me. Okay. She's like, I got an MGM card. I'm going to boost some rewards. I'm like, this sounds expensive. So anyway, folks, make sure to join the patreon.com/Dave Neal. We got this video right here, or it's a podcast. Clayton admitting the producers manipulated him. I'm shocked he admits this. Not only does he admit it, you can hear him say, they might cut that. And they didn't yet. And now we've got the info for you. If you're not familiar with what we're talking about, where have you been? Our channel has had 200,000 views in the last 48 hours. Thank you so much. You guys know I love the bells and whistles, the good microphones, the good lighting. This is what I look like in natural lighting. I know, not as nice as some LEDs hitting the inset eyebrows, but here we are. If you stick around for the end of the video, I will show you this gorgeous 29th floor view. So stick around to the end and I'll show you. I'm not going to tell you where I am, but I need you guys to watch this video because it was way more expensive than I thought it would be. All right, so here we have it. Now, obviously, Clayton was thrown to the wolves by just about everybody for how he handled the situation, having Susie be his third fantasy suite date. Now, if anyone is going to understand the sex positivity, it's going to be Kaitlyn Bristowe, who says, yeah, you know, you got to test the car, you got to drive it off the lot and test it and see if the, safety bags work. I don't know. Anyway, shout out to one of our commenters, Oliver, who said I was disgusting for mentioning that. But hey, everyone looks at sexuality in a different way. Some people say, hey, physicality is a big part of my life. I need to check it out. And others say, how dare he? What matters is that we set boundaries for each other. And what happened with Susie is he didn't know it was going to be a deal breaker if he ended up breaking bread with other contestants. And then he found out too little, too late. She's now being accused of never wanting him in the first place. So we're going to get into all this. Let's just play this first clip here.
Nobody has the slightest clue of what's going to happen.
Sure.
Again, I'm online a lot. And I'll just say that I haven't even seen one person get it right. So
get offline.
That's, I guess, the way I'll tease it, is everyone's making these judgments and no one is even close to correctly pinning what happened. So I think I would just tell people to reserve judgment until they see the full story. I think nobody has. All
right, folks, Monday and Tuesday night, you know where to find us. We're going to be doing live streams before and after the Monday and Tuesday night. Tuesday night, hey, Tasha, get me some extra coffees. By the way, Tasha, will you come into this video real quick? Tasha made a big mistake. Tell everyone what you did. Come in here. Come into our little, tell everyone what you did. Come in here and tell everyone over here what you did. She tried to make coffee this morning and took the coffee off the sensor for over 60 seconds, which means we got billed for the most expensive.
You don't know that. It might be free. I would imagine that the in-room coffee is free.
Pray for me. Venmo us. Send us a Patreon message. Golly, it's expensive. You don't even get free Wi-Fi here. You get charged for looking at the sun. All right, so anyway, let's go to the next part of this story here. Yeah, we'll be going live on Tuesday after the East Coast episode, and I'm going to stay live till after the West Coast episode. Just like New Year's Eve, we're going to do the whole entire country. We're going to talk about it. Let's hear what Clayton has to say to Kaitlyn Bristowe about his fantasy suite date with Susie.
And the danger was that as I stepped aside, and when I was away from the women, then it hit me. I'm like, when I was sitting alone in interviews, when I was sitting alone in my room, that's when it hit me. I was like, you're in a deep spot. You're in a really bad spot. You have told 3 women now you're in love. And how do you think this is going to end? But in that moment, I thought, you're the Bachelor. Like, this is acceptable. These women are understanding.
That's the lie he was told. The producer's like, you're the Bachelor. You're allowed to do this. I guess I'm allowed to do it. Then afterwards, he's like, oh boy, I think I did a problem.
He was not. And as I look at it now from an outsider's perspective, watching it back last night, I watched it and I was embarrassed. I was shocked that I couldn't see her side. I remember thinking when I was there, living it real time, that she was emotionless, that she didn't care. And that's the way I remember it. And as I watched it back last night, that's not the case at all. I'm like, wow.
And what we have seen is that when our limbic systems are flared, when we're seeing red, when we're in an angry state or fearful, when we're in that state, we don't always think rationally. He wasn't able to see Susie because he couldn't get out of his own way. People have said, well, he needs to understand the whole show's not about him. Absolutely. But as the lead, he's the only one dating multiple people. It's a tough scenario.
Wow, she's emotional. She's thoughtful. She's struggling a lot. Yeah. But I couldn't see her perspective in that environment. But as I've now stepped outside of it, I'm like, dude, it's clear as day where she was coming from. And I feel terrible because I question this woman of incredible character that should never have been questioned to that nature. But I let my emotions and I let the environment influence me. And what everyone saw last night was the result of that, my own actions and things that I now regret more than anything, the way I handled myself.
Well, that's the thing, is everyone is a victim to the environment that they're in. And when you're in that environment for as long as you are, without the people that ground you, without anything that makes you feel like you're, making the right decisions and being able to bounce it off friends or talk through things with your family, when you don't have that and you're just day after day being produced, that's the show, but that's why this show has worked for so long, because everyone gets into this position that by the end they are struggling mentally, and that sadly makes for great TV, but it really affects you as a human being. And when you're removed from it and now you're home and you're watching it back and you're able to see more clearly who people are and what they deserve and like how they reacted, and it's so different watching it back than actually experiencing it, and so tough to relive at the same time. I also wanted to know if you got to pick the order of your fantasy suites.
The answer is no, I didn't. But I don't know how to answer that
news.
question. I got asked that on an interview recently. They came in and they said, we think you should do it this way, and they convinced me. And I said, okay. And I believe that they're like, you need to keep your other options open. You need to keep everything open. So just like, don't close off. Because if Susie goes first, we're afraid you're going to close off.
I'm so shocked. Tasha, did you hear that? Are you shocked? I'm shocked.
I'm not shocked at all.
Tasha says she's not shocked. But that is nefarious of the producers. That it's nefarious for them to be like, oh, Susie's your number. Tasha, they're making a show. They're making some therapy. Yeah, they're going to be bill them for therapy here. But by the way, Colton Underwood said that in an interview. You can hate him all you want. He said the show throws you to the wolves when they're done with you. What are they doing to get Clayton his mental help right now after the majority audience, majority women, decided he was this horrible guy? Now, honestly, it wasn't everybody. There was a lot of people that took my side, which was that, like, hey, the guy had no idea what he was getting into. Is ignorance an excuse of the law? No. Is it an excuse for a heightened, super dramatic spotlight put on you on Bachelor Nation? Well, that's to be said. It depends on how graceful we all be in the matter. But the fact that they wanted to keep Susie to the end, they must have known Susie's boundaries was no, pumping palmers with other women, and they didn't allow them the space to talk about that. Now, of course, Susie should have communicated that, but folks are saying, hey, Clayton should have communicated that. And of course, he should have. He should have been like, hey, just so we know, why do we, when you say you want me to explore other options, are we exploring body parts or are we exploring their soul, or a little bit of both?
So I said, okay, then I finally let them convince me. So if we hop back in this, I suppose, again, I'll say, like, yes, I did have a say in it at the end of it all.
Of course, you will always have a say. But you probably would have done things differently, maybe.
Coerced.
Because if you had taken Susie first and she set that boundary with you, things could have been so different.
I believe that they would have been completely different. I really believe that if she'd have said that, I would have two things. I would have either said, okay, I respect that. Thank you for telling me. And then I wouldn't have been intimate with anybody, including her.
Yeah.
Or I might have said, I don't know if that's fair for you to give me this ultimatum. And if you can't see past that, then like, we'll just have to leave. Like, we're just going to have to cut this off right.
Now, so what happened with Madison Pruitt, our good friend Maddie, fan of the show? What happened with old Maddie Pease, MP, is that she gave Peter Pilot the ultimatum before, their fantasy suites, so he could act accordingly. Now, let's think a little logically. Don't you think the producers afterwards were like, man, we could have really caught him in a loop if we didn't have her have that conversation defining the boundaries beforehand? And of course, when they could apply that to Clayton, he ate it right out of their hands.
Right then and now.
Yeah.
And it would have been respectful in a way that we both could have said, okay, like, it's just, we're not on the same playing field. I believe I would have done the former, not the latter, but I at least know that it would have been a mature conversation through and through, because we had the last fantasy suite. My actions had already been taken.
So essentially what he's saying is, by the time he got the boundary from Susie, it was too little too late, and they could have avoided this altogether if they sort of did this in a way that was beneficial for Clayton. But of course, that's not what pays the bills. And as we know, the show's declined in ratings, so it makes perfect sense that they were ready to light the show on fire with some gasoline. Now, we're at the end of the video, and I promised you guys I would show you the view. So check this out. Wow, that actually looks pretty nice, doesn't it? I'll let you guys guess where I'm staying. Just from what you see if you can decide where I'm staying. All right, folks, that's it for me. We'll have more content coming to you guys tomorrow. And wish me luck as we play some craps this afternoon. All right, everyone. Lucky sevens. Bye, everybody.